Hi, good morning everybody. This is Samir here. Guys, I'm going to take you through this very important topic today, which is the role of network optimization in the Indian data growth story. Now, I will take you through some very quick. So I will actually start with what the drivers are today for the data traffic. Now in this, we have a couple of very clear indicators that the clear case for consistent increase in the penetration of smartphones, HD video. Now as you all know that HD video is becoming the key driver for data traffic in the data network, and even in the current scenario and what is going to be happening in the next 4 years. By the year 2021, we are expectedly going to have 60% of our traffic on HD video. Then we have instant messaging, and which is one of the key drivers, especially with the youth segment. And you can also see high resolution photos being uploaded on the social networking sites, movies, downloads, VoIP, e-commerce, iBanking. All these are actually now becoming the key drivers for the data growth story in India. As you would have seen, a lot of focus has happened from the youth segment who are using WhatsApp as well as Viber to use VoIP calls. Gaming is the last thing where it is not exactly as taken off in India, but especially as we go forward when the throughputs become very high in the 3G and the 4G networks, we will see a lot of interactive gaming applications being downloaded by subscribers and start using them. So these are the key data growth drivers in Aircel in general for the data network in the country in India. Now, if I go to the next page and give you a clear view of the penetration of smartphones in India. Now, smartphones in India shipments, as you can see in the chart, is actually exponentially growing. And in that, if you can see in the top corner, that Aircel is actually about 10% of the smartphone shipments in India. And I have given you some projections from 2016 till 2020. And the key reasons for the smartphone penetration is actually one very big indicator is the falling smartphone prices. The barrier to own a smartphone is going down. In the next couple of years, we are actually going to get a lot of smartphones under the $100 mark, and finally it might reach about $60 to $70 per smartphone. Now, the smartphone penetration is the key reason for smartphone penetration is obviously the price barrier. There's one more aspiration aspect which the consumers are now actually vying for a smartphone is actually the rub-off effect of your colleagues, your friends, your family owning a smartphone, and they are seeing the benefits of using a smartphone as opposed to a feature phone. So it is also this part, which is the aspiration, is also driving the penetration of smartphone in India. Also, if you have seen in the last 2 years, the replacement market is actually moving up in the sense that every Indian is actually replacing his handset in the period of 6 to 9 months. So that's also one of the reasons why smartphones are actually replacing the feature phones. And lastly but not least is the clear view of the app-centric applications. All the smartphones where you can actually download apps and start using apps. In my view, more apps is more traffic for the network. Now, all these 4 or 5 key reasons are actually driving the penetration of smartphone in India, and the source, which is GSM Intelligence, says it all, that that's the amount of shipments which is going to happen in India in the next 3 to 4 years' time. Now, taking forward, what are the other, why are people moving to smartphones? And what are the key indicators that why are people using, and what are the trends in the smartphone usage? If you see in this chart, you will clearly see that 50% of smartphone users are downloading apps. As I said earlier, more apps is more traffic. Go to the right of the screen, 48-50% are listening to music, using maps and navigation aids, especially as they are driving cars, motorcycles, and so they are getting into the auto mode, in the sense they don't want to stop for somebody to ask an address or a location. They use maps and move on. And one of the key factors is also getting into places and checking out social networking sites, Twitter, WhatsApp, Viber, and they're uploading photographs. So all these are actually app-driven trends in India. And you can see very clearly the voice chatting is also becoming quite significant as part of the overall data usage. So largely what we can see is social networking, voice chatting, listening to music. All these are applications which are driving the trends in India. Now, typically, just to give you the flavor, I'm just giving you one example or one set of our customers in one of Aircel's large market in the south, which is Aircel Chennai. And if you can see that in this slide, that the top 5 applications are actually generating almost 60% of the total mobile internet traffic. And these are all on mobile devices. Now, if you go to the right-hand side, you can see the aggregated number for YouTube is almost 23%. HTTP applications is about 18%, and if you add up the top 5, it comes to 60% of the total mobile traffic. Now, the top 10, I'm showing you the top 10, which is constituting WhatsApp, Google, HTTP, Facebook, iTunes, and we have very specific Tamil audio-visual contents because this is Chennai and TN. You can see almost 22% of our traffic is going to Tamil content as well. So it's all very regional. It is also global applications like YouTube, WhatsApp, Facebook. So overall, this is how the whole trending is happening. And I don't see that this will be very different in other parts of the country. So I just showed you as an example that this is where Chennai is. And going forward, and how did we get this information? This is actually all customer behavior. We have end-to-end customer experience management tools where we use extensively so that we can increase the quality of our experience of our customers. So this is how we actually see the trends going in India, and I don't see that this is going to change a lot. Maybe as we go forward, YouTube guided would be another 2 to 3% more. You saw Mark Zuckerberg in IIT Delhi yesterday. He was talking about Facebook. He was talking about net neutrality. So all those stuff is now actually hitting the mobile network and increasing the sprawl. Now, I also wanted to give a technical flavor to this. This is where are we heading? Where are we heading in terms of our technology? We spoke about the smartphone. We spoke about what the trends are, how customers are behaving, but we also need to, which technology will support this? Now here is where comes to the spectrum and the technology which we are going to use. Now I have highlighted in the red dotted banner that in the sub 1 gigahertz band we have 900, 850 and 700 gigahertz band where you have megahertz band, and you will see that by 2015 and trending to 22 by 2020 900 will graduate or evolve, or it will move forward not only to cater to the 2G plus 3G traffic, which is currently in vogue, but also we will start moving to use the same 900 bands for LTE network as well. In the other 850 band, we have currently the usage is on CDMA and LTE, and will finally move to LTE. And finally, when if you see the last band, which is 700, it will be primarily used for LTE only. So this is where the technology is moving. And if you can see very clearly that the sub-gigahertz band, 1 gigahertz band, is extremely ideal for in-building penetration, and it provides a very high quality of in-building coverage. Now here is the thing. Now sub 1 gigahertz band are very expensive in India, and largely operators would like to use these three bands, 900, 850 and 700, where the ecosystem will be very popular, in the sense that the device ecosystem and the engineering ecosystem will merge together and give us that opportunity to provide that quality of service to our consumers. Now 1800 band, which is the other band which is very popular, or which has got a large diverse ecosystem and which supports quick monetization, is also where we also own that band. And in that sense, that is one of the bands which is currently having 2G plus LTE, and it will move to LTE only in the year 2020. So I just wanted to show some transition and evolution from where we are to where we are in terms of where we will go by the end of 2020, which is just about 4 years from now. Now here is the other evolution. How are we moving? And how are we moving from the current 2G, 3G to WCDMA to LTE Advanced and LTE? Just to give you a flavor, I am also showing you what are the advantages and what are the current technologies and bands which are being used in the 2G, in WCDMA and in LTE. Largely we are using 900 and G1800 for providing a thin layer of coverage. In this band, whereas we are using it largely for coverage, and it's also what we call it in our technology parlance, the umbrella coverage we provide to a city or to a town where we have low ARPU customers. But as we move forward, as we move to a more data-centric utilization, we then deploy WCDMA, W900 and 2100 megabytes. So here is where we can see mass market mobile broadband penetration. We also get the seamless smartphone experience. We also at this point of time would see higher penetration of 3G handset. Now nationally in India, that question can be asked, that where are we on the 3G penetration. In India, we are currently in the range of between 20 to 35% of 3G handset penetration in various parts of our circles. Metro cities have large 3G penetration handsets, and whereas in rural and in upper countries we have about 15 to 20%. Now, if we move forward, that this is the evolution from 2G, 3G to LTE. LTE, we have two bands in India. One is the FD band, which is 1800, and we have the TD band, which is TD band, which is at 2300 band. So total, we are actually going to have a very, very good scenario in terms of how we actually do carrier aggregation or merge these two bands. The technologies are emerging, engineering BTSs and Node Bs are going to come, which will merge the band 40, which is 2300 band, and FD band, which will also be in band 4, band 5. So new technologies are emerging where we can combine the FD and TD-LTE bands, which will give us higher speeds. It will give us the advantages of, it will give us the advantage of both giving an umbrella coverage as well as hotspots. So in that sense, Aircel or an operator will start using the TD band for hotspot coverage, and we will also use the FD 1800 for umbrella coverage. And all these actually finally will only give one benefit, which is the customer experience. The experience will be pretty high, the speeds will be high, and hence we will spend less time. Here's the thing. What are the key challenges being faced by the Indian telcos? Now, if we see clearly, there are 4 or 5 challenges. One is yes. So what are the current challenges by the Indian telcos? Now, the top challenge is about meeting the customer experience, the expectation of the customer, followed by resource crunch, technology solutions, and the market challenges. So I will go through this slide in a bit of a detail and explain to you what exactly are the expectations from the customer. And they are right, because this is what they expect. Now the expectation, what was earlier about 10 years back when we had launched 2G and 3G services, now the expectation is that we need to provide ubiquitous broadband coverage. The expectation is also that we provide high throughput and to a larger extent extremely low latency, because this is where these are the top 3 requirements of a customer. And if we go to the usage of the customer, I would call that as a very clear way of Dumble effect. The Dumble effect is that the customers are largely using data network in 2 areas. One, while he's at home or while he's at office. And only while he's traveling, during the time he's traveling, you can see lesser amount of usage of the network. So I call that as the Dumble effect, because you have 2 high capacity utilization while he's at home or in the office or his workplace, and he's using extensively in these 2 areas. Yeah, surely, wherever we have office connectivity, we are using our internal LAN, but we have seen the trend that people and customers have started using mobile phones to even use even in their offices. So we see that's a good trend happening, and that's a global trend. It's not specific to India or to Asian countries. It's a global phenomena. And largely, one more expectation is hotspot capacity, where we are going out for in the evenings, or we are hanging around in cafes and in bars in the evening. People expect capacity in those areas as well. So that's what we call or define that as hotspot capacity. The second issue which we are facing as telcos are the resource crunch. Now resources are there 2 types. One is based on spectrum and the availability of spectrum, which puts a lot of pressure, competitive pressure on the operators, which we have seen in the last auction. And then the capex, which is extremely high. So once we get into buying a spectrum, we also need to then spend on deploying that spectrum and utilizing it efficiently, optimally. And for that, we have to match with an equal amount of capex as well. So we can't only just take the spectrum and live with it. We have to spend money and then deploy more capacities, more fiber to the site, and provide the service which the expectations are there from the customer. Now, how do we do that? And the third part of the issues or challenges which we face today is the internet networking between technologies and the frequency layer or the spectrum layers. And then one of the key requirements is also that while we have matched the RF environment by using interworking technology between, let's say in the case of LTE, which is FD and TD technologies, we also have to have optimal amount of backhaul as well as access technologies. So that's the key challenges which we are facing in terms of technology solutions. But yes, we have solutions for that, and we are deploying them. Aircel is deploying them And as we go forward, we see that we are using new technologies in terms of using microwave, the E-band and the V-band microwave to fulfill our access requirements. Now, lastly, what I'm going to speak about is the market challenges. Now, yes, we are moving from a 2G, 3G to a 4G technology solution, but we also currently we see that the low LTE penetration devices are in the range of only about 1 to 2%. Currently, the penetration for LTE devices is very low. In one of our sample networks we have checked out, it is between 2 to 4%. The new devices both for FD and LTE, but largely we have seen that 1800 FD band LTE devices are more popular as opposed to 2300, which we call the TD band. In India, we also call that the band 40. Now, the other challenges which we face in market is being, in spite of doing all that, we still need to be profitable. We need to be agile in organization. We need to give proper, we need to be very, very specific in our product portfolio as well. So we see new services, we see new enterprise opportunities as opposed to what we also doing in the mobility business. We also seeing a lot of opportunities coming up in the enterprise business as well. So we see that as a new opportunity coming in out of the LTE and the 3G technologies which we are deploying. So going forward, we would like to give you how Aircel is keeping, or how networks are getting ready for a data demand. So there are three aspects. One is largely the most field operation-wise, which is the radio coverage, then capacity, then we go into capacity, and thirdly in terms of network quality. So if we see the first, we have twin objectives of a radio coverage. We want to give minimum overlap, we want to have hardly any gaps in the network. And then why are we doing that? There are technique solutions which we do that, and which is very obvious in this slide, that how are the networks or how are operators getting ready. So if we count them into three, which is the radio coverage, the capacity which we need to provide once we put up the site or the network, and largely we also need to provide a very good network environment. So all these three work in tandem in terms of providing the technology, providing the coverage, and then we need to maintain that. In the sense that the last point which I am showing is in green is what is the background for this current discussion is on the optimization of the RF environment, the optimization of the network. And this is where is one of the key focus for Aircel as well. How do we optimize the network when we have already provided the radio capacity and a good coverage? Now it doesn't work in that way that we only provide the capacity and leave it. It's not like the typical fill it, forget it, and shut it technology. We have to constantly optimize it. Constantly we have to measure it. We have to work and see that it is optimized. So that's why I'm showing the last in green. So optimization is the key driver for network quality and experience as we go forward. And that's what we're going to speak now here. So what is the optimization team's delivery model? This is something which is very important. We have 4 verticals in that. We define the, how do we define that? We define, we measure, we analyze, and then we control. Now this is how it goes, in the sense that we see the reports, the KPIs, we have the tools and systems, we see the cell parameters, which we call it the defining part of it. We measure these and how much of these are deliverable, what is the current review of the KPIs, and how much we can optimize that. Going forward, we also analyze all this data coming in from various parts of the network, from customer feedback, from the sales team, from our OSS reports, and from our KPI indicators. So all that is analyzed, and then based on that, we tweak, we twist the network, and which is why we call it the optimization of the network. This is a very, very skillful and a very brainy part of the network team. And when we say that, what do we do in optimization? We monitor the network, we do chain recommendations, we compare and check the benchmark, not only with internal to us, we also compare with competition, with global standards and standards given by the Government of India, TRAI. We revise the KPIs, and then we also, in terms of doing all that, we also do the knowledge transfer to the new set of people. So it's actually a kind of a constantly a perpetual way of monetizing and as well as optimizing the network. We in Aircel are completely dedicated to do that thing. We do it every day. There's a team which works on that. It looks at all the parameters on a daily basis. Some of the parameters are projected, they are highlighted, and we take action. Sometimes we also have to take an evasive action in case there is a specific traffic burst because of an event or a seminar which happens, like in the real case we had the Indo-Africa summit recently, so we had to gear up for that. That's a known event, so we build up capacity in those areas where the event is going to happen. We increase capacity, we analyze that report. We also do the capacity augmentation and optimization in the hotels, in the airports. So it's a constantly evolving and a constantly day-to-day activity which we do on optimization. We don't never ever stop optimization. So the word looks that optimization could be done once in 3 months, but no, we do it every day. So there is always a set of people who are learning on this job, and plus we also train people and transfer knowledge to the new recruits. Now, what's the core focus area of RF optimization? Now, there are all these what we call our customer-centric actions. Now, these actions are largely done through parameter optimization. There are a huge amount of parameters in the radio environment which we constantly tweak and twist and see that we give the best services. We also, as I was saying earlier, that we do troubleshooting and optimization for events in case there is a specific failure or some sites have been sealed by some action. So we have to take evasive action in case some 20-30 sites have gone down because of some specific failure or fiber has been cut. So we have to provide quality service during that period of failure till the time the original sites come back. We also have to do a lot of physical changes in the network. We have to reorient, change of heights of azimuths, shift of antenna locations. So that's another what we call the physical part of the optimization. But largely it is driven through the tweaking and twisting of parameters. We also add new features. We optimize those features. We do frequency planning and tuning. It's a constant affair which we do. We do the automatic frequency planning, tuning. We engage with the sales and the CSD staff and get the feedback from the customer that which areas are having pain points. So all these are extremely customer-centric actions. Now, in terms of specifics, now we have spoken about the smartphone, we have spoken about what are the things which are driving the smartphones, but we also like to know, we like to tell about what are we doing? What are we doing in our networks where specifically related to optimization activities. So I'll give you one example of what we did in the Rajasthan 2G network. This is specifically, we have done a major optimization drive to do the EDAP expansion, time slot increases on radio for data, and we also did PCU card addition. All these three actually we did together, and you can see the clear case of what it was in January 15 and how we brought it down in the month of September. So these are a huge improvement in terms of the data throughput. What we are trying to say here in this particular slide is that in this case in Rajasthan, the throughput data increase, which is all the sites which are having less than 100 kbps cells improved improved from 21% to 14%. Now that's a very, very significant improvement in terms of what we did in Rajasthan by I would say minimum amount of apex and capex infusion, but largely because of extremely skilled activity. The second case, which I will also, there are so many cases, but I'm going to show you only very specific ones. In this case, it is about Tamilnadu, one of our flagship circles in Aircel. What we did in Tamil Nadu, we actually tweaked some BSC timer optimization, and we did some very specific cell value assignments. Now you can see the change in that line, the vertical line, the blue line, which shows you before and after. So there's a huge improvement in payload, and the amount of payload increased by doing only specific BSC timer optimization is almost about 2.2%. So that 2.2% has given us huge amount of increase in GB utilization. So we increased the payload of the network, and you can see before and after, right, from 14,685 gigabytes, we have reached 15,669, which is almost 2% increase, which is significantly large in terms of what we did by just tweaking a couple of parameters. Going forward, we're going to show you some more small amount of a small case for one BSC area. We have done in so many cases, but I'm just going to show one example of one BSC where the data payload increased from 414 GB to 431 in a single day. Yeah. So, and if you see that, sorry, this is significantly actually increased or reduced our soft and hard. The chart shows very well that on the left hand side you can see the whole day payload increase from the 3rd of that month in October till the 13th. In 10 days time we have increased that payload increase in one specific BSC. And the proof the proof lies in the eating of the pudding is that if you see the soft blocking from the 9th, it has dropped significantly, almost like a stone drop from 99% to almost 93%. So these are very significant amount of changes being done in just by optimizing the network, and this is a case of one BSC. As I said earlier, that we did some tweaking in the Maharashtra network, and in this case, as I'm showing you many examples, it's not only about doing only one specific thing in a BSC or an RNC, but I'm showing you various examples of what we did. You can see the Abis rejections and the edge downlink throughput improvement in the Maharashtra circle, where we tweaked one parameter, MAC flow control, and that parameter has shown that Abis rejections have come down. And if you can see inside, observe that the DL throughput, the down loop throughput has significantly increased. And that is what has done. And this is something which is, we are very tuned to doing such activities in the sense that it gives us that feeling that yes, we are able to give that extra edge, or we walk a couple of miles more to give you more coverage and more capacity and high quality of network. So there are so many such examples. I'm just going to show you one more, which is the Northeast 3G speed optimization. And here you can see that we actually did fine-tuning of the power control, and significantly you can see almost 8% increase in the data speeds happened pre and post. Now here is the one more example of time slot and parameter optimization in one more of our circle, which is UP East. And you can see that the number of cells which had high throughput has significantly improved from 32% to 17%, in the sense that now more amount of cells are getting higher throughputs greater than 100 kbps. So those are the parameter tuning we have done in terms of time slot and parameter optimization in the state of UP. And lastly, I'll show you one more example of the MCS coding scheme optimization we did in Mumbai. And the edge downlink and the edge utilization or the kbps really increased from 28 to 28 and you can see the edge throughput improved from 17 to 12%. So you can see as we go along, this is how we constantly optimize and give quality of experience to our customers. So I'm giving you some very significant examples, but these are not limited to only these 7 or 8 examples. There are so many which we do constantly. This is just to give you the flavor of what is I would say optimization all about.
Yeah.
Is there any questions?
Do we have some questions here?
Not really at this point of time.
Questions? No questions.
No, there are.
I'll share the questions with you.
You can scroll. Scroll from here.
Yeah.
You can start answering these questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question from Vinay Kumar. What all parameters are required for network optimization without compromising the network quality? Well, Vinay, the question is that there are more than 100 parameters in the RF network. They are different for 2G and they are different for 3G and for LTE. Now we constantly move these parameters, change these parameters in such a way that it doesn't affect the other part of the network. And that's what is the brainy part of the network, in the sense that we have to be balancing the tweaking of the parameter or changing the parameters in such a way that we do not compromise the quality. The entire exercise of actually doing the optimization is actually to give better network quality. So we don't compromise on the network quality. So that's, I would like to give that answer to Vinay. Coming to the second question about from Danish, do you think usage of small and people cells is imminent in the country, considering the challenges in the TD 2300 band, megahertz band? Oh yes, of course, Danish, you're right there. That yes, it is eminent that we have to start using small cells at net 2.0 as we go forward. And actually, the Government of India, DOT, and the local municipalities are trying to help the operators to come up with solutions where we can be partners with them and provide the small cell as well as pico cells, as well as HitNet. The idea here is that actually we have to now get into small cells because of the fact that the umbrella coverage is already there in the country, except in the case of LTE. For 2G and 3G, yes, we have to now go more nearer to the customer. Hence, we have to deploy more small and HitNet solutions. You are absolutely right there. Coming to the third question, Venkat Kumar, we have been hearing early launches of 5G network in some countries by major network manufacturers, given the fact that 4G LTE is started to pick up in India at this point of time. How are the service providers like Aircel getting prepared for 5G? Does Aircel involve in any of the trials for 5G in the near future? Well, Venkat, at this point of time, we are concentrating on actually deploying our 3G network. And we have started our 4G network in our key circles where we have got license. So in terms of what we are going to do in 5G, at this point of time, we are more concentrating on 3 and 4G technologies. Yes, it is still 5G is still evolving, but as we go forward, there is a lot of trials happening. Especially, it will happen around the Tokyo Olympics, where the broadcast of the Tokyo Olympics in 2020 will happen on 8K enabled television handsets. 5G will be tested in during that trials as well by the Japanese operators and also through GSMA. So we will be participating during that time that point of time. But currently in the Indian context, we are concentrating on evolving our 3G and 4G network. Abis. Telcos are currently focusing and investing in data networks, leading to apparent service quality issues and voice calls. How ignoring voice over data boom is justified? Not really, Muntazir, I will not agree with you. We actually we're doing a balancing act. We also increasing a lot of capacity in our voice network also. In the last 1 year, I would say not even 1 year, since January till now, which is as we speak in the end of October, we have almost added 8,000 sites in the network. And largely that is for voice customers. So this is where I would say that we will have to do the voice customer, because that's the bread and butter of any operator. Coming to the next question, how crucial Wi-Fi offloading is going to be in India in the backdrop of call drops issues? Yes and no. I would say Wi-Fi at this point of time, yes, there is a technology now. We can do Wi-Fi offloading, but the issue, Danish, is we are not getting properties where we can actually get Wi-Fi offloading. So we are concentrating as Aircel and as operators to first roll out our 3G and 4G networks, and where I have very specific tricky situations where we don't get sites or we are stuck because of acquisition issues, we'll have to do Wi-Fi. But you're right, Wi-Fi is one of the ways to offload 3G and 4G data streams. We have one more question from Basu. How network optimization and all encompassing data network will cope with the new cybersecurity challenges and 3G and LTE scenario? Well, in terms of what we are going to do is our networks are secure. And likewise, I would say that all the other operators, as we go forward, are securing our networks, and we have a compliance team which secures the network, and we don't see as a threat at this point of time. We have, I will take one more question from Muntazir. Internet is becoming a necessity today. And coupled with ambitious digital initiative, how are you planning to offer data at lowest possible tariff? Well, that's all largely driven by competition and the amount of network capacities we have. But I think Aircel is one of the service providers who provides extremely affordable and reasonable prices on data, and we are geared up to do that. In fact, we are actually one of the pioneers during the initial days when we started with pocket internet, and we continue to be one of the service providers who are very, very popular with the youth and the segment who are wanting to have reasonable and affordable data plans. Sachin, we have one question for you. As per the current setup, most of the telecom companies are focusing on metro cities, but in rural areas we are still struggling with 2G. Is there any plan for optimizing the rural areas towards 4G? Oh yes, actually you're right there. We are in our circles where we have got 4G license. We are rolling out both 3G and 4G networks. So it is not that we are ignoring rural markets. And I think the bottom of the pyramid is where the bulk of the new subscribers are coming in from, both from 2G as well as 3G. Hasso Sajnani, sir, do you have any strategy for video optimization traffic to our GI interface? Well, in terms of how do we optimize, we have techniques, we do that. We have a couple of techniques where we do that optimization on the GI interface from our SGSN to the World Wide Web. And we use 3 or 4 techniques doing that. And as we go forward, video, as I said earlier, that 60% of the traffic, 65% of the traffic by 2021 will be video traffic. So no operator or even Aircel, nobody can ever ignore that. So we are geared up to video traffic. Venkateshwan PS, how do you arrive at what was the root cause to look into only BST which resulted in increased payload? Is it something else too? No, it's the engineering part of the BSC. We actually look at every BSC and the RNC and the entire pipeline. Where is the bottleneck and why? We ask that question why, and then we look at various solutions where we can actually tweak and see how we can optimize that particular parameter to give more quality of service. And one example which I showed was that specific one on BSC. It's largely related to engineering. Balachandar, does Aircel have plans for upgrading the current network with NFV and SDN? At this point of time, we are looking at the technology. We are only exploring it and we are having discussions with our vendors. But in the next couple of years, we should be moving some of our key network elements using NFV and the telco cloud. You're right there. That's a very good question. Coming back again, does Aircel have plans? Sorry, next question is from Vipin Kaushik. Thanks for very good insight. Would you please share your experience how optimization impacts to revenues? Oh yes, actually, ultimately, it's the customer experience that matters to us. Aircel has a philosophy that we are here to provide quality of service to our customers. And the byproduct could be revenues, because if there is a high quality of network, it is well optimized, people are using it, as I said, people are using more with apps, more traffic, and as we go along, which also gives customer experience, he is able to do his work faster, gives us more revenue. So I would say that's a byproduct, but our main aim is to optimize our network for giving quality experience. But that's a very good question, Vipin. Tamim, do you think 3G will last till 2020 in India? Of course, 3G is going to last till 2020, but yes, as I said earlier, we're going to migrate our networks and our customers to start using data as well on 3G as well as on 4G. We see that as a large part in India because of the high amount of voice usage in our networks. Devyansh, are there any world-class solutions in your opinion for better backhaul connectivity that can be implemented, replicated by alien telcos? Well, I would say that backhaul in terms of it comes from the fiber. Fiber is the key for the giving quality of service, and I still feel that that will remain as the key driver for connectivity for all our sites. So more the fiber, the better it is. I think that the time will come when we'll start putting fiber on almost every site wherever we have high data utilization both on 3G and 4G. But as I said earlier in one of the presentations, in one of the slides, that we are also exploring high-end capacity in the access layer by using the technology of E and V bands on microwave, where we can get speeds up to 1 gigahertz. So we are exploring that as well. It will be put on trial from January onwards. So I think the next webinar we will speak about, it's a good question for us to talk access, front haul and backhaul technology. I think we will do that in our next webinar through ET Telecom. I think that sort of gives us a challenging opportunity. How do we actually carry the traffic amount of so much of traffic we are going to put in the number of 2G, 4G and 3G sites we are going to put? How are we going to carry that on our backhaul, front haul, as well as in our access layer? So thanks for that question, Divyansh. Upendra Sai, you touched upon a data analytics. How critical is it, and how are operators leveraging analytics for network optimization? It's a very good question, Upendra. We're actually using it both ways. It's actually a feedback loop in the sense that we would like to use analytics, and we are using analytics to find out the customer behavior and how do we actually improve his experience by using analytics, and that feeds into an optimization tool, and our optimization team also feeds into the analytics tool. So it's a two-way story to get the leverage of both the tools which we have deployed. Amitabh Mishra, a lot of operators are now moving to a real-time customer experience-based network performance monitoring and optimization tool rather than an OS report. Absolutely, KPI-based mode. What's your take on the same, and how Aircel is moving forward in that direction? Amitabh, that's which is what I was trying to answer in the last question by Upendra. We have deployed real-time tools in our network, and we have done two huge pilots, and they are all operational now. The pilot has been converted into a commercial tool operational, and it has already been operationalized in Tamilnadu and in the south and the western parts of India, and we are using that particular tool as opposed to an OSS report or KPI based mode. So you're absolutely right, we are using our tools to actually give better experience, and not by doing by taking the feedback only from the OSS report. Mehra, Mr. Mehra, what do you think the reasons of current frequent call drop? Is it related to increasing data trends? No, it is not related to data trends. Actually, there are a couple of reasons why we have call drop, and we have taken action in terms of that. We are actually not getting enough sites because of the negative information about EMF radiation in the country. That's one of the key reasons. Once that negative impression goes away, we will be in a position to actually able to roll out more sites, and then this frequent so-called call drops will significantly improve. Vikram, what functions do you see getting virtualized in your NFV roadmap? As I said earlier, Vikram, we are still looking at that technology, but largely the billing function, the IN, could get into the cloud at this point of time. We see the roadmap very clearly, but because of the connectivity and the security issues, we are looking at that technology, not very keen to deploy in the year 2016 and 17. But yes, as we go forward, that's something which we will have to look at. That will give us a lot of upside, or I would say reduction in the OPEX. Sumit Malhotra, is there any network optimization going on in Delhi area of Aircel? Sumit, it's not only about Delhi. We are optimizing our network on a daily basis nationally in all our circles. Absolutely, in all circles we are doing that. We have a very, very brainy and a skillful set of people who are doing this work on a daily basis, and they are very charged and very excited to do this work, because something which is where was one of the functions, and now that is one of our key functions driving this change in Aircel. Coming to the next question again from Bala. Thanks for answering my question on NF. Does Aircel have a design center in Chennai? No, we don't have a design center in Chennai. We have a large disaster management center in Chennai, and we have one in Gurgaon. Bambani, Government being serious in improving quality of network and to minimize call drop, how telcos look forward to act in the current scenarios? Well, I can speak about Aircel. We are actually quite geared up. We are looking at various solutions. We provide, as I said earlier, that we have added a huge amount of sites this year. Total from January to this year, we have added 10,000 sites as we speak. And by end of the year, we're going to add another 4,000 plus sites more. Plus, we are optimizing our network. Plus, we are actually skillfully putting in more uptime so that we can get higher throughputs because of high uptime of the network. So all those things we are doing parallelly, simultaneously to give that experience, both to minimize call drop as well as to give quality experience on the data side. Gargi Basu, how do you see 3G and 4G services contributing to the enabling smart cities? Oh, that's a wonderful next generation question, Gargi. Yes, I think in my view, this is my view that smart cities is all about how do we actually enable people and then measure how we do things smartly. It's not about just owning a smartphone has become a smart city in that specific one, but it's about measuring all the parameters and improving those parameters for on a daily, on a quarterly, on a yearly basis. So what parameters? Let's say it's all about not only about telcos, but telco will be, or the 3G and 4G technology will be the enabler for smart cities. That is one of the key enablers. There we can go and talk about e-health. We can talk about measuring of electrical meters. We can talk about giving and location-based services. All this actually will enable the new plan by our Prime Minister on the 100 smart cities. It is going to be one of the key enablers. You are absolutely right. And this is something coupled with a high amount of fiber in those cities will really work wonders. Saurabh Gugnani, for the emerging markets like India, when we talk about last mile broadband support, do you think we should have FUP applied by operators? Okay. Well, so I think in this world, we actually are using lot of support by giving very reasonable and I would say very optimally charged data plans. So we at this point of time we feel that yes, it is a global phenomenon, not only about Indian operators, that 20% of the customers are hogging the entire 100% of the bandwidth. Yes, it's a global thing, and I think we are sensitized because of that, and we are sensitized that yes, we are at this point of not thinking of doing anything else, but we are trying to more improve the quality of the network first. That's our first aim. So we will talk about that later, but first aim is to give quality of experience. So I'll take one last question from Vikram Anand. What role do you see operators, providers, service operators playing in the Internet of Things domain, especially related to smart city project? And also, do you see specialized vertical based services being launched by telcos in areas which are use cases of IoT? IoT is actually going to be in hand in the smart cities as well as even in the non-smart cities as well. So Internet of Things, a lot of use cases are coming up in the e-health space, tracking of transport, tracking of buses, metros, tracking of meters, reverse metering of electricity, providing I would say switch on, switch off services which have become standard in other parts of the world. And I see that that's going to be a very, very large, low ARPU, but high volume game. So in the sense that, yes, the number of SIMs or which will go in these IoT devices will be extremely large, but the ARPUs will be fairly lower. in the sense that it will be more a volume game as opposed to a revenue game. So yes, it's going to happen. You're absolutely right, Vikram. And smart cities, non-smart cities, and IoT is going to be the next bubble. It is going to be a really, really big thing, I would say, in the next 3 to 4 years. But it's the entire thing is about the ecosystem being developed together. So the manufacturer, the smart city devices, as well as telcos will have to work together to make this piece as one of the next revenue drivers. Yeah. Thank you. I would actually thank the audience who have actually dropped in and had taken their time off to speak to me, and what are we doing in Aircel. And I think in the next webinar we'll speak about the front haul, back haul, and the access technologies.